situation because we talked about this on the Inside Reporter podcast, and Eric and I pretty much we had our take on it, and it just doesn't make sense to us why Luis Ortiz would turn down this fight, because Luis Ortiz is not Deontay Wilder. We know that. It's definitely not Deontay Wilder. He doesn't have the options Deontay Wilder has. And he's not in a situation where Deontay Wilder is, where Deontay Wilder can pass on the Joshua fight and keep winning and only have that fight grow and become bigger. Because Luis Ortiz, obviously, as we know, is not the name that Deontay Wilder is. So he doesn't share that same luxury that Wilder has. Wilder is arguably the second most, or even in some people's opinion, the biggest, most popular heavyweight in boxing right now. But most people think it's Joshua, but there are some people out there who do believe that it is Deontay Wilder. But regardless of that, Luis Ortiz has been complaining for so long how everyone's ducking him, how he can't get the fights that he wants, how Anthony Joshua has been ducking him, forever, basically. He's been calling Anthony Joshua for a long time, and Anthony Joshua has been criticized for not fighting him. But now this opportunity falls right on his lap, and I know it's short notice, but it's also a short notice for Joshua. Joshua, he's been training for Big Baby Miller, who's a totally different fighter than Luis Ortiz. He's orthodox, while Luis Ortiz is southpaw. So it's an inconvenience for Joshua as well. And Luis Ortiz is coming off a fight he didn't look great in, but so he just fought in March. So how far out of shape could he have gotten in a couple of weeks? So have to take that into consideration. And again, as I mentioned on the show, these guys, even though they're not training for a fight, they should still be training for conditioning all year round. So if they're not, that's on them. So it's a big problem for them. But let's talk about this whole situation now, because reportedly the offer for Ortiz was $5 million, and I guess his manager or his promoter or his trainer, I can't figure out who it was that actually called it the lowball offer, but it was one of his advisors. I believe it was his promoter that called it a lowball offer. And basically now Ortiz is turning around and backtracking, and that he's disappointing in his team for what they said, and now all of a sudden, I believe from what he's indicating, he wants to fight. And also Eddie Hearn is saying that it was more than $5 million, and now at some point next week he's going to release the details. He said he's going to supposedly expose Luis Ortiz. I keep calling him Victor Ortiz, I don't know why. But here's the thing, guys. Very often you hear me complain about Eddie Hearn and criticize Eddie Hearn. But I got to be honest with you. I have nothing bad to say about Eddie Hearn in terms of this situation. Even if it was $5 million, which Eddie Hearn says it's even more than that, even if it was $5 million, as I said, Ortiz is not in the same situation as Wilder. His name is not going to get bigger. He doesn't have a title. He doesn't speak English. He's not as well-spoken. He doesn't promote himself. He's not a great self-promoter like Deontay Wilder is. Deontay Wilder, at this, from last year to this year, has grown greatly his profile. Luis Ortiz has not. He's probably actually declined. Not that many people, with all due respect to Luis Ortiz, I love him as a fighter, but he's just not that guy. And Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua are. So you have to look at the situation, and you have to say to yourself, if you're Luis Ortiz, this shot may never come again. And then if he has a rematch with Deontay Wilder, he's not going to get $5 million. He got $500,000 for his last title fight with Deontay Wilder last time he challenged for the heavyweight title, $500,000. So these $5 million offers, or even, according to Hearn, these larger than $5 million offers, are not going to come, down the pike very often for this guy. So this is just, I think, a really bad move for Team Ortiz. And I mentioned this last show too. These guys have advisors, they have lawyers, they have promoters, they have trainers, they have all these people that are supposed to help them out and manage them along in their careers. But at the end of the day, these guys work for you. And at some point, the fighter has to say, I got this. Just this is what I want. I respect your opinion. I respect what you're saying, but this is what I want. And this is one of those situations where he should have just stepped in and said, you know what? I want this fight. I want this fight because it's an opportunity of a lifetime. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. And even if he loses the fight, if he puts on a good performance, the Wilder rematch will still be there. So like that, unless he gets blown out and looks really bad, that Wilder rematch will still be there. So in my opinion, this is a horrible move, and I have no criticism at all for Team Joshua and Eddie Hearn in this situation, because I think Ortiz really making a huge mistake if he doesn't accept this fight. Now Hearn's saying that they're still talking, and this fight still could get made. Well, hopefully he's right, but there is a ray of hope if you listen to Luis Ortiz and what he's been saying, how he's been criticizing his team, and how now they're going back on their original statement and saying, well, it wasn't a low ball offer. So this whole situation with Team Ortiz, they seem to be in disarray here. They don't all seem to be on the same page. It seems to be very unorganized over on that side, and hopefully they can get it together. But I'm really curious to see, what Eddie Hearn has to say about the deal, because he's going to reveal the information at some point next week when the opponent is announced. And hopefully he won't have to do that. Hopefully Ortiz comes around and accepts the fight. But if he doesn't accept the fight, I think Andrew Ruiz would be a great opponent too. I'm not really crazy about the Michael Hunter choice, with all due respect, but I could accept the Andrew Ruiz. But to me, this Luis Ortiz opportunity, or this potential fight, I'm even more excited. I'd be more excited for that fight than I would for the Big Baby Miller fight, because Luis Ortiz, I think, obviously is more accomplished than Big Baby Miller. All around, I think he's a better skilled fighter, and probably a more dangerous fighter too. So, I would love to see that Ortiz fight, and let's see what happens here, man. But as far as I'm concerned, the ball is in Team Ortiz's camp. It's in their court, and it's up to them whether they want this fight or not. And I think if they do pass on this fight, I think it's a super duper huge mistake. So I'm gonna take Eddie Hearn's side on this one, and I think this Ortiz fight definitely should get made, man. I think you should definitely accept this fight. All right, that's all I got for now, guys. Beeb is out. Talk to y'all soon. There's a lot of great fights coming up this weekend. Pretty busy weekend, so I hope you guys all enjoy the fights on DAZN Showtime tonight. But yeah, man, that's what I got, man. That's all I got. I just I don't understand the logic from Luis Ortiz right now. I think he needs to step up. I think he needs to take charge of the situation, and he needs to tell the guys that work for him what he wants, and not the other way around. All right, guys, Beat is out. Talk to y'all soon. And make sure you check out megafitmeals.com, meal delivery service that I use, that I've been promoting. I'll put the link in the description box. Freshly, nutritiously made food, good macros, good taste, good quality. Go to megafitmeals.com, link in the description box.